What happens in movies or TV that seems to be normal and you think to yourself that is not what people in real life do. Person goes to the toilets to throw up, or maybe they were coughing up blood. Do they rinse out their mouth like normal people? No, they wash their face and suddenly everything is okay? Hand someone a burner phone. Keep this on you day and night. It rings. You better answer. Okay, do you have the charger? The what? This phone. Did it come with a charger? It's not USB, it has one of those cylindrical ports, like on an old Nokia. Look pal, hey, you're the one giving out phones. It's charged now. How did you charge it? When women run around in heels with perfect hair and makeup, and the dirt and sweat makes their hair and makeup look even better. Looking at you, Jurassic World. One thing that drives me berserk in movies is when someone is driving and talking to their passenger. They refuse to keep their eyes on the road and insist on making prolonged eye contact with the person next to them. In the movies this often means a jump scare car crash is about to happen. I'd like to say that's unrealistic, but my mom used to drive that way all the time. I hated going anywhere with her. Pretty much every computer screen where a character does anything moderately complex, everything on their screen is in like a drawn color scheme with wireframe images flying all over the place. Hang on, I can access this secret server through a VPN, but first let me get in a quick game of high purchase. Be a struggling writer while living in a multi-million-dollar mansion. That one always puzzles me. Or, a family moves into an expensive house, but neither parent has a job lined up yet. Yeah, how'd that loan approval process go, you frauds? You can't tell me they could all pay cash. The amount of ultimatums in romantic movies is appalling. No real relationship can last if you're at the point of an ultimatum. You're just putting a dysfunctional relationship on life support for another week or two. People don't stop doing stupid shit. They just learn to hide it from you better. People opening the oven only to be surprised and oh no to a completely black roast/turkey/meat of some kind, and then have smoke just billowing out of the oven. Number 1. It takes a while to do that much damage to a meat. Not like 5 minutes, like unless you're broiling your turkey at 280°/550 F for some ungodly reason. 2. You'll see smoke coming out before you open the oven. 9. Seriously, how do you overcook something that badly? Stop it, it takes so much effort to be that bad as cooking. Just number, if dinner is at 6 p.m. and it's now 610 or 615. Your dish won't be black and smoky and inedible. Maybe it'll suck and taste worse, but it won't be black as shit. Stop this nonsense. When people in the movies or TV are on a phone call, the pauses where the other person's saying something are always so short that they'd barely have time to say 2 words. Like, that's not how it works. Taking turns talking, like in cop shows when one cop begins an explanation, then the next one picks up the story at a seamlessly convenient spot, then the third adds, but, and throws in some more. No one in real life has ever talked like that. After sex, the couple just gets dressed or lays in bed for the night. The woman would be leaking, and if the guy is wearing a condom, wouldn't they want to take it off before going to bed or getting dressed? Always talking all clever and witty, without stuttering, or pausing to think about what you're going to say, or never forgetting what you were about to say. What else was I going to say? I forgot. There are only 2 movies with realistic dialogue, Napoleon Dynamite and The Big Lebowski. In movies, it seems like architects are overrepresented as a profession by like 1000%, and yet there are very few movies about architects. I've never known an architect, but they're everywhere in Hollywood productions. Keanu Reeves is an architect in The Lake House, Woody Harrelson is an architect in Indecent Proposal, Adam Sandler is an architect in Click, and on and on and on. Charles Bronson is an architect in Death Wish, for fuck's sake. It really bugs me when characters stop what they're doing to eloquently and articulately tell you their feelings. Very few people are that in touch with their feelings and motivations. They're subconscious. The non-lazy way to write is to have characters behave in a way that shows their feelings and motivations. People that open doors and never close them. Also, people that splash cold water in their faces and look in the mirror to indicate a character is upset. It's particularly strange in public washrooms. Dude, how are you going to dry your face? And what about getting your tie wet? Now that's just been replaced with person upset. Therefore they throw up. Really? People barf that easily? I don't remember which show it was, but I think there were 4 episodes in a row where, to indicate that a character was upset, they vomit. And not seen a dead body then vomit, she was angry and left vomit. Come on now, that's a medical issue at that point. Suppressors on firearms making them whisper quiet. No, it drops it from hearing damage, 167 decibels, to jet engine, 136 decibels. You'll definitely still hear the shot, and if the round isn't subsonic, there will still be the crack from the bullet going supersonic. Suffice to say that this scene in John Wick is laughable. The way teen culture is portrayed, particularly in America, those scenes where an embarrassing pic is sent to every single person in school, like, who has absolutely everybody else in the school's phone number, social media stored in their phone, and how many people would actually do something like that. Those parties that are thrown when someone's parents aren't home, which literally everyone is somehow able to attend. Always eating out, buying coffee, going to bars. What teenager has the money for that? The amount of sex these teens seem to be having. I'm Australian, so it might just be different here, but is America really like that? I'd says it's a tie between the way people can talk without a single mistake or filler word and how kids in movies apparently wake up 3 hours before school every day for free time, a heart breakfast, mini adventure. All of Riverdale, but especially the school. Bad guy runs into the school and just starts fist fighting a student. In what school can this grown adult just enter the building and do that shit? These teenagers have a secret speakeasy in a small Midwest town. Not real small town Midwestern teenagers drink in fields around a fire. It's just not believable. When a couple wakes up in bed together, with no wild bedhead hair, mind you, and just start making out, no swish of scope, no wait a second, hon, I got to take a wicked piss, just a sleepy good morning with a little stretch and yawn, and then right at it. Elite soldiers, agents making elementary mistakes when handling firearms. Running around with their finger on the trigger is the most common one. Once you notice it, it'll ruin so many action movies. Daniel Craig is really bad at this. A cop is chasing a criminal. They get into a fight. The cop gets hit in the head. There's blood on his face. The criminal gets away. Hours later, 30 cops have surrounded the criminal, and the original cop still has blood on his face. Drinking heavily without consequences. Edit. Just because you don't get hungover doesn't mean there aren't consequences. You're still putting ethanol in your body and the consequences may show up later in life. Computers doing a soft preep every time a line of text appears on screen. I can mention CSI, NSYS and all those kind of shows, but the truth is, they do that in almost every movie or show. It annoys me the most when they're like secret agents trying to hack something while hiding from the enemies inside the vent or something like that. Like, dude, they're gonna hear that. Who was the genius that designed that device to make a sound? not a behavior thing necessarily, but in a crime show when they zoom in and the picture is blurry and pixelated, so they press a button and the picture becomes instantly crystal clear. That's not how photos work. Unpopular, but never actually ugly, teenager wakes up in their huge upstairs bedroom. The room probably has some kind of bay window or unique ceiling slope. In the 90s and early 2000s they would of course have their own desktop computer. You only briefly see all of this because they are of course late for school, so they run out to their good-looking parents and siblings already eating a full sit-down breakfast. No explanation is given as to why these siblings aren't also late for school. Anyway, the main character grabs a single slice of plain toast and skateboards to school through a quaint town square. In kids/family movies, nothing will ever make the parents lose their cool. Nothing. They're never frustrated, exasperated, exhausted, or at their breaking point. No complaints are too petty to be met with anything but heart-pouring empathy. No house disasters are ever big enough to make mom/dad hyperventilate, tear their hair, or just break down crying. It's all just, oh you kids, so adorable. We'll miss the mess when you're grown. Bunch of fucking chuckleheads setting unrealistic expectations. Reality is that every single day you're trying hard to be a good parent, and sometimes you need a 10-minute timeout, or you're going to lose your shit. Having a large group of friends in your late 20s 40s that you hang out with all the time. How can anyone have that much energy after a 10-hour workday/50-hour work week? Edit. Wow, not even 24 hours and I post something people love. I'm totally happy for all of those whom are able to spend time with your friends. That's awesome. I've gotten used to bi-weekly interactions, especially with COVID and everything. Edit 2. Holy hell Silver, thank you very much. Cute meets and love at first sight, especially in Hindi cinema. I'm an Indian. Whenever the female lead falls, or about to fall, I must say, the male lead is always there to save her with his hand around her waist. When I fall and get up by myself. Census, New Orleans. Aside from bad acting and eye-rolling plots, they never close the door and constantly leave the windows open. The AC is sacred in the South and millions of biting flies are just waiting for you to open a window. Sleeping darts in spy movies. Shoots a dart and hits someone, instantly going to sleep, and then waking up after. Putting someone to sleep is very hard to do, and dangerous. Just a little bit too much drugs, and you die. Just a little bit too weak, and you're not asleep. Anesthesiologists make very good money for a very good reason. Scientists who somehow know everything about all of science outside their specialty. Like in Modern Family, how Alex is an undergrad who somehow builds robots, runs DNA sequencing, and studies theoretical physics at the South Pole. Physicists do physics, chemists do chemistry, biologists do biology. Not a ton of overlap in real life. How quickly crimes are solved, especially TV shows like CSI, Bones, etc. Every case is solved in a matter of days. 2 days after finding a body, the lab has determined everything that could possibly be known about the crime and exactly who did. That shit takes time. Even worse is when the trial happens. Same episode. Body found Monday, murder trial Thursday and Friday, jury verdict Friday evening. Trials themselves can take weeks and just getting to the trial takes months if not years. Also, on those same crime shows, how many people work in the lab and field and do the police work? Forensic scientists are not cops. Girlfriends and wives of addicts. Maybe it happens with boyfriends and husbands too, but I have never seen that on TV so far. Breaking up with their boyfriend, husband and throwing them out of their home immediately if they relapse. I'm no addictologist, but that seems like the worst possible thing you can do. People waking up together after obviously having sex the night before and wearing clothes when they get out. Also waking up next to each other and the sheets and quilt being semi-calm when it would obviously be messed up. This also happens in TV shows, like they will be in bed next to each other and the sheets and quilt will be perfect and not moved around. Having a family but also going out all the time after work, weekends, and never having any family conflict as a result, like getting home at 9 p.m. and the spouse saying, "Oh, where have you been?" All casual. My wife would have put out an APB by then and I'd walk into divorce papers on the table if I just didn't come home and not say anything. 2 things that seem to happen in public that do not result in cops showing up in large numbers. Firing guns in a city. People usually call cops who tend to show up within a few minutes. Car chases with seriously reckless driving. The awful Venom movie had a scene in San Francisco with both of these happening and I don't remember seeing a single cop car. When a dad cooks a huge breakfast on a school day but all the kids are busy, running late and only grab like a single piece of toast before running out the door. First off, nobody ever cooks big-ass breakfasts like that on a school day. Second off, if they did, you damn well better make sure we'd sit down and eat it. Shock a fucking flatline. You do not shock someone back to life. Why does every medical consult feel this is okay to continue showing? The shock actually stops your heart so your brain can tell it to restart but beating correctly. FFS. Okay, I'm done yelling. When there is a misunderstanding in a rom-com and the angry person storms off while the other person uses all their time to say, "Wait, Brenda, I can explain. It's not what you think. Hold on. This isn't what it looks like." Normal people would just say, "I'm just hugging my sister. She just got into town." This is kinda dark, but in an eye fight, a dude slashes at someone's stomach and they fall over dead without even a whimper. Bruh, it takes like 16 serious and deep stabs to kill someone. There's blood everywhere. The death is minutes long, and the struggle turns into one running and one chasing. Making a huge breakfast for the family during a weekday consisting of serving tray of eggs, bacon, a basket of fresh muffins, pitcher of orange juice, toast, and so forth, only to have each family member appear with a late for work or late for school who then proceed to take a swallow of juice or a bite of toast and head out the door. People not saying what actually happened and letting the other person think they did something terrible rather than some kind of misunderstanding. Man is late to pick up GF at airport because he was in horrific accident. GF, you promised me I could count on you. If I can't even trust you to pick me up on time, how can I rely on you as my life partner? ! Throws engagement ring. BF. You can rely on me. I was on my way and GF. No Gary, I'm sick of your excuses, it's over. BF. But I'm sorry. I. GF. Storms off never to know the truth until later in the movie when her friend is like, "Girl, didn't you hear Gary was run over by a semi on his way to get you?" The way people talk is probably the biggest one for me. No stutters, pauses, ums or ahs. Almost nobody is as concise and articulate in real life as most characters are on screen. Another big one is firing off a gun a bunch indoors without hearing protection, and having a normal volume conversation shortly after. Dude, if you're in a shootout indoors, you're not hearing anything quiet for a while. In the good old days, everyone drove a convertible with a gun in the glove box. Perry Mason. Every freak in episode. In modern times, women with perfectly curled long hair hanging all over them. When it's 90 degrees and they're jogging, fighting, the designer skirt and high heels at the crime scene. Dr. Maura Isles. Anyone is also a favorite. though props to Rizzoli for actually using a ponytail most of the time. Not just directly confronting your loved ones when you think you overhear critical yet highly suspect information directly relating to them. In TV they always bottle it up until the final climax, and then of course it was never a problem and would have gone away if they just addressed it, but no one ever does. One of the only movies I can think of in recent memory that totally subverted this was Appaloosa. When it got to that critical moment I've seen in too many movies where one lead gets falsely misconstrued info on his partner's betrayal, which you've been dreading the whole movie. He just flatly rejects it, then goes to his partner and asks them if it's true. The partner says no, and he drops it, literally never to be brought up again. Trust and communication seem to never exist in movies and TV, and when it shows up, it's always delightful.